anymore. My toxicness will stop me from loving myself or trusting others in my peaceful place. Not anymore. My lack of post-trauma is going to stop me from my future growth. Yes, not anymore. I know I'm powerful. I know I'm overcoming. I know I'm a positive. I know I'm loved. And yes, not anymore. I'm dope. Dedicated to other people's empowerment. I love my dopeness, and so should you. Welcome, everybody. How is everybody doing? Today, I am the host, Shameka Morton, of the Let Loose and Be Free book tour. And we are here with some amazing ladies that will give you some amazing information about their journey of becoming an author, about their journey just being the awesome people that they are, and about their journey on how they got to where they are now. So first up, we're going to have Lenore. Can you please introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. Hi, my name is Leni Uddyback-Fortson, and I am the author of the book Fresh Courage to Believe. It's a book of poetry, and I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up, can I have Miss Liz?
Yes, hi. I'm Liz Hoop, and I am the visionary author of this book, There's Hope Breaking Invisible Chains, and I'm excited to be here with you tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. And Miss Latricia?
Latricia.
Oh. Miss Latricia, Can we have you tell them who you are in your book?
Yes, I am Latricia Taylor, and I am the author of the book that started my journey, A Mother's Love, A Mother's Pain.
Oh my God. All those is just intertwining just together, because so many times the journey is what makes us get where we are. So for Miss Liz, can you tell us, when did you start writing?
Well, I actually started working in anthology projects back in mid-2020, right before, I guess, I take that back. I was going to say right before COVID shut everything down, but it was actually after COVID had shut things down and things had slowly opened up a little bit. So May, June timeframe. I got started then with a book project called Leading with Uncommon Courage. And my story in that book was about going through divorces and bankruptcies and coming out on the other side, and how I had really been, as God says in his word, he will restore what's been stolen from you. And at that point, I had been restored from a lot of losses. And so I started with that book project. And from there into 2021, I began with a few other projects. And by the end of 2021, I had been in 10 different anthology projects, including the one that I have, that I'm the visionary one. You're muted.
Muted, Dana.
I was saying I need to mute because I can hear echo. Sorry about that. Next up, can we have Latricia? Can you tell us when did you start writing?
To be honest, I started writing back in 2015, beginning in 2015. And unfortunately, it was after the loss of my daughter due to a DUI, DWI car accident. And I started with just journaling and writing down my feelings and letters to her. And then I decided I wanted to take what I was feeling and put it in something that someone else that may have been going through the same thing, a mother, and share what I was going through in hopes to encourage someone else. So that's when I birthed the first book, which is A Mother's Love is Mother's Pain. So that was my first journey of writing. And then from there, I did a couple other things, journals and workbooks. And it's just been something that I just found that I want to write in my books is more of something that's going to encourage or inspire or motivate someone.
Right. Okay. So next up, Miss Lenore, can you tell us when did you start or get into writing? You're on mute, hon.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I started writing poetry in college, which was the late 80s. And I really didn't start writing seriously until 1996 when I lost my mother. And I used poetry as a means to grieve and to heal. And so 20 years after that is when I first wrote my first manuscript to publish the book.
I love it. I love it. Shameka, how are you?
Hello, good. Hello, everyone. Writing has been, something that I've done for many years, but I just 2 years ago, like, okay, I need to publish what I write. So I published a self-help journal, and it's really centered and based around mental health. That's really a issue that I find that the African American community kind of try to shy away from.
Right.
So it's just been really, heavy on my heart to go ahead and, put out there how I have had an issue with that and writing and studying about it. And, hopefully allowing someone to read this book will give them hope to fight mental illness as well. So that's what I started.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just loving everything. So what I'm gonna have each of y'all do, I'm gonna allow y'all I'm gonna take everybody off the stage and I'm gonna give y'all time to bless the people of telling them about your book and then reading a section out of your book that you're comfortable with. We all good with that?
Sounds great.
So
Sounds
first
good.
up, I'm gonna have Miss Liz go, and then I'm gonna drop everybody else off the stage. The floor is yours.
Okay, well, like I had said, the name of my book where I'm the visionary author is called There's Hope, Breaking Invisible Chains. This book is a compilation from 19 ladies who have been through a program called Adult and Teen Challenge of Mississippi for women. Adult and Teen Challenge is a faith-based drug and alcohol rehab program. And so this book was written by women who have overcome the horrific past that thrust them into a cycle of wrong choice after wrong choice. Seeking to numb their hurt and to fit in, they chose drug and alcohol addiction. But no matter how tough life becomes, there is hope. And these 19 women found that. Their stories of recovery and triumph will inspire, I can't talk tonight, and empower you to break invisible chains so you can discover your identity, healing, and hope in Christ. These co-authors felt compelled to share their stories so others too could find a fresh beginning. And it was written for those that are struggling with addiction and desperately need a way out. The purpose of us doing this project was because so many times there are men's centers and women's centers across the United States for Adult and Teen Challenge. That means anyone 18 and over can come into the program. However, it does cost some money. There is tuition cost. And a lot of times these people have burned their bridges so bad and have no one to financially support them. So in this case, in this particular center, which I'm involved with as the being on the board of directors, a lot of times these women come in and they can't afford to pay. So we have a benevolence / scholarship fund where we help to pay for someone who doesn't have the means or support from family out there to help them. So all the proceeds from the sale of this book, every dollar goes back to the center, to that fund, so that we can help one more woman find hope and freedom from her pain, her addiction, because what we find is so many times the addiction, they didn't start out saying, oh, I think I'll get high today and become a drug addict. There was some underlying something that occurred in their lives that caused the pain, and the way that they numbed the pain was through the drug and alcohol. So one of the ladies that wrote her story, her chapter title was From Overdosed to Overcomer. She said, I was a high school cheerleader and I loved every minute of the competition side of cheer. During my senior year of high school, though, things took a disastrous turn. While I was performing a stunt that did not go as planned, I fell and sustained an injury that became the pain in my neck. Before I turned 20, I found myself in and out of doctor's offices and pharmacies for pain relief, not realizing that by trying to manage my pain, I was building up an addiction to medication that became my lifeline. At the age of 22, she became a functioning drug addict. And after the first year of college, she lost her grandmother. After losing her, she said, I didn't know how to properly grieve. So I found myself filling the void with even more prescriptions. On top of pain pills, I incorporated benzos to help with the depression. She said, I remember walking out of a pharmacy with a big brown paper bag full of controlled drugs. In my prime time, there were hardly any rules and regulations. I'm pretty sure that one of the reasons the regulations to get pain prescriptions are now so strict is because of this. The lifestyle of the drug would become an addiction for me as well. Doctor hopping, selling drugs, transporting drugs, and hiding from the law became a high like no other. It's cliche, but true that one must change his or her lifestyle to get and stay sober. After college, I struggled for a while, but soon realized that it was time to get up, grow up, time to get a real job, start a family, and leave the party days in my past. And that I did for a few years at least. I got a big girl job, snagged a husband, had a beautiful baby boy. Looking back, I honestly think after I had my little boy, I was struggling with postpartum depression. He was not even a year old, and before I knew it, I was back in the doctor's office begging for relief. Not long afterward, I started going downhill and went down quick, very quick. They say when you relapse harder and faster each time. Here I am, a mother, an accountant, a wife, a daughter, and a friend who was starting to struggle with not only prescription drugs, but also incorporating marijuana and alcohol. The more pressure that was put on me at work and the long nights of walking around the house trying to feed or get my 1-year-old to sleep, the more drugs I was chasing with alcohol and smoking marijuana. It did not take long before everyone around me started noticing I was losing control. And I'm going to stop there. But she went on to say that she lost her husband, she lost her job, she lost her child. She was in a lonely and dark place. And it was a Monday night. She hit rock bottom. She said she remembered getting in her car and leaving, trying to escape herself. And she remembered seeing the blue lights of a police car and knew she was headed to jail and didn't even know how many drugs were already in her system. But when she saw the blue lights, she turned up the pill bottle and took them all. And that's when she overdosed. And fortunately for her, she did not die. She survived the overdose. And now she's an overcomer because she's been through the program at Teen Challenge. And it was through the grace of God and this program that she's now a mom and a wife and a hardworking individual out in our society today.
That is so amazing. Like, that story just touched me. So I hope everybody that's out there, please go get that book, because we all need that hope. It's so many times things in life happens and we just don't know where to turn. And I'm just happy she's in a better state of mind and a better space.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And let me point out too that this center that it mentions in this book, it's in Mississippi, but you do not have to live in Mississippi to come to this center. We've had ladies from other states come in, but also there are these centers around the United States and internationally. There are locations internationally as well. So anyone needing help that's interested in getting help can get more information.
Definitely. I hope y'all plan on reaching out. Please get that book for somebody you know that might need it. Get that book for somebody that you might feel need to hear some things. So, because suicide is another high rate that happens. So, and that's going to Shameka's book, talking about that mental health. Next up, we are going to have Miss Latricia. Sorry, I don't want to butcher your name. See, me either. I can't speak today either. It's with all of us in this talking today. But I'm going to drop you down, and then we're going to bring Miss Latricia up, and then I'll have you back. Miss Latricia, please, you have the floor, hon.
All righty. So my book that I'm a author. I'm actually have two other books in a journal and a workbook. But what we're going to talk about is A Mother's Love, A Mother's Pain, which is how I got started with writing. This book was written after the loss of my daughter in 2014 to a DUI, car accident. So at the time, I was trying to find a way, of course, to grieve through that process. And I was writing journals, writing letters actually to her personally. And I would get asked all the time, how are you holding up? How are you being strong? And at the time, I did not know. I knew it was nothing but God keeping me from just losing my mind. So I started, I had someone tell me, write down your thoughts into a book, write a book that maybe can help someone. And I thought about it. So I just started writing one day on my computer. It's not a long book, but I started off with this book of just sharing what it felt like just to be a mom and being pregnant and how you bond with the child from in your stomach to when they're born and all the great things that you go through and being a mom and having this baby. But then getting that knock on the door one day to your child is now no longer here. And that's what happened to me at 22 years old. I lost my daughter. So I started writing from that point, from going through depression, having anxiety, of not wanting to take medication, but starting to take medication and don't want to take medication, and just all the things that I was going through. So just a journey to show that women, that we go through a lot, especially when you lose a child. We are put on this earth to say that we do not leave this earth before our children leave this earth. But unfortunately, in this time, we are losing a lot of youth, a lot of children before the parents, through just senseless crimes, accidents, and all types of things. So also in the book, I actually put inserts in there of letters and notes that I was writing to my daughter during my journal time, and a section for journaling, because I wanted someone to read this and understand that they're not alone, that nothing that they're going through should be embarrassing. How they feel and their feelings are valid. Every section of emotion that they go through, but a section that they can just take the book, and when they're feeling it, they can actually write little notes, which is how I end up creating the journal to match this, is from pain to purpose, because through this, I found my purpose, and my purpose was to motivate and encourage other women through my pain and my personal experience. So we go through this stuff, and I think someone mentioned, and I know she's going to talk about, which is very important, is mental health, and how we do not value in the Black community therapy. And I can tell you, sitting here right now, that without therapy, I could not be having this interview, the other things that I've been doing since my daughter passed. And it's been 8 years now, going on 8 years. There's no way I would be in my right mind. But therapy actually helped me deal with what I was feeling, understand what I was feeling was valid and important, and then how to cope with that. So anyone who's listening, to understand, if you lost a child, it is very painful. It's a pain that no mother should bear. It's a pain that does not go away, just being honest, but you can continue with life, and you can find a way to get through with that pain and still honor your child while you're still here on earth. So I want to just read one section that a poem that I put in this, that I thought was just very encouraging for someone who picks it up. To get up when you're down, to fight more intensely when you are struggling, to put in the extra effort when you are in sheer pain, to come back when nobody expects you to, and to stand tall when everyone is pulling you down, are what makes a champion. You are a champion. No matter what pain you're going through, the struggles you're going through, you are a champion. You can get through this. And just make sure that you understand that your pain is real and it's valid, but just get that help and get that understanding from someone that's going through, that can help you get through that. So that's what I want to share with you. The book is A Mother's Love, A Mother's Pain, and it's available. And like I said, I have a couple other books that I wrote. Another one is Dear Daddy, A Letter from a Successful Businesswoman, which is also experience that I went through of not having my biological father in the first part of my life. So
that is totally awesome. It's an honor to have you on and sharing such. Ooh, because there's so many women that probably don't know how they would have gotten through and still trying to figure it out.
yes,
Like,
it's
you know,
definitely.
Yeah. Like, 'cause especially like when you talk about the anxiety and, you know, when you deal with trauma, it's so many times, which goes back to mental health,
Yes.
how we have to take care of ourselves because it puts you in such a so many
Yes.
predicaments and mind states and not being able, because like you said, if you didn't go to therapy, you wouldn't be able to be on here right now talking about it.
Yes, because it's real, that anxiety, PTSD, everything that goes through with whatever the tragedy is of losing your child. As a mother, you go through those emotions. There's a lot of emotions that are attached to death anyway. So when you lose anyone in your life, you go through anger, you go through all types of things. But as a mother, you go through a guilt trip. Where did I go wrong, or could I have done this? Why wasn't there? It's all types of stuff. So anxiety is really real. I deal with it. It's better, but like I said, with the mental health and the having therapy and coaching and coping techniques, it just really helps me get through that, and I can actually share my personal experience, and I'm okay with sharing my personal experience and how I feel, good and bad, with anyone who's going through, because ultimate goal is helping someone else.
Right. And this is, you know, back to let loose and be free.
Exactly.
And, you know, and which also in the background where it says powering your voice. And that's what this is about, being able to share your voice, share that message to help someone else that might be watching and don't know how to say, I need help.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So if you out there, you're listening, you need her book, telling you, contact her. It's on Amazon as well. Like,
yes,
it's there for you to get the help that you need.
Exactly.
And if you don't know how, just tell somebody, I'm not okay.
Exactly. That's the thing. Speak up. Don't be afraid to speak up and actually tell someone that I'm not okay and I need help, because holding inside will tear you up.
Right. So true. So next up, we are going to have Miss Lenore coming up, and I'll drop you down and I'll bring you back on stage in a minute as well.
Okay.
Miss Lenore, the stage is yours, hon.
Thank you. So my book is called Fresh Courage to Believe, and it's a book of poetry, inspirational poetry, and it was birthed out of a period of my life of discontent. I had just finished writing and publishing my third book, Roar: Empowering Words for Life, and I just kept feeling like, what's next? What should I be working on next? And I just kept asking that question of God, and slowly but surely, God began to answer me through my work, and the words just started coming. I feel that the book itself is a story, and it begins with a dream or a vision that God gave me. And it finishes with a poem of triumph. I'm going to start by reading the first piece. It's called Believe. I have seen visions manifest, intense high-definition dreams channeling a steady stream of slight vibrations to my spirit. Amplified internal echoes progress in surround sound. Once wistful, nearly left by the wayside wishes, transformed by indestructible intention. I felt the hand of God pick me up, propel me forward, snatched from the jaws of doubt before defeat could devour. My steps, ordered, redirected to fall in a new line of succession, reconstructing a once broken trajectory, smoothing the surface, straightening a crooked path. I sensed my Savior's presence, wrapped in an ever-loving embrace that shields my heart in the midst of madness, comforting me during every dark deja vu moment. I've witnessed a fleeting glimpse of promise materialize in the formation of my purpose, watched fears blow like smoke, sending rings of false truth into the atmosphere. When I surrendered self-imposed obstacles, laid down any barriers to trust, resisting every attempt to steal, kill, destroy my future, and silenced face inner critic, awakening my fiercest warrior who rises, emboldened by fresh courage to believe. And then I want to read a poem that describes what often happens when we receive that vision. Then we start to doubt ourselves, and doubt, was the vision, did the vision really come from God? Did the vision, is the vision going to really come to fruition? And it's called Battle On. I know what it's like to feel cemented to the status quo with no clear escape plan. Sidelined by life, swallowed whole by circumstances, riddled with the consequence of inaction, trapped somewhere between the unrelenting echo of regret and the hope of a new day, hiding just beyond the other side of midnight. I can relate when you say you're strapped, choking on the dust of fleeting resources, left weary by the taunt of the slightest challenge, legs giving out under the weight of unmet responsibility and unrealized dreams. I remember finally pushing past my latest self-fulfilling defeat, only to slip, lose footing, and find myself accelerating backward to emotional quicksand. Whipped on a continuous loop, uncompromising vertigo. I understand the layers of this heartache, so I battle on, in full armor, press, choosing to fight through the urge to succumb to my feelings. Taking my cue from that still small voice, I summon mustard seed faith and put off the past and wrap myself in God's plan, a path of life that points to an expected end, sacred steps leading to my destiny. I search until I find the courage to believe his promises, shining through the intricacies that reflect his fearfully and wonderfully made creation, embracing my rightful place within a royal priesthood. I take refuge under his wings as he covers me with his feathers and shields me with his faithfulness. Draw strength as I remain still, doubts quieted, knowing he is God. I cling to his peace as it transcends all understanding, soothing unexpected travails, braced by a stance that informs my journey. As I set out to seize unmet terrain with renewed energy and revel in time redeemed. And finally, I want to share the last poem in the book. It really tells the story of triumph, how someone can get their strength and their legs out from under them and take off. And it's called She Stands. Bold to the point of brazenness, determined, a boundless spirit breaking away from any binding ties that restrict her, moving ahead, taking life-affirming strides. A single step powered by the stretch of muscle-toned legs, conditioned under the weight of the load she's carried, reaching, striving, strengthened by repurposed fatigue, reframing every tiring moment of her journey. Powerful eyes fastened to the future, glistening with tears of wisdom, reflecting the understanding of memories unpacked, nourishing the core of her resolution. Making room, embracing each new opportunity in the expanse of her new scope of freedom. And each poem is encased by scripture that relates to the poem that comes before, the poem that comes after, and that definitely resonated with me. My hope is that my book will encourage and undergird and uplift someone who needs to get that second wind, and know that their time is coming. Sometimes the period of transition is difficult, and you're not quite sure what is coming next. But if you ask God, as I did, he will answer your prayer and lead you to what your purpose is. So that's what I wanted to share. You're on mute.
See, I keep doing this. I did this yesterday too. I'll be forgetting that I'm on mute because I try to, mute so that y'all can have the stage and don't hear nothing in my house. And here I go, be forgetting this song. But those poetries were so touching and amazing.
Thank you.
You did an awesome job with them. And I hope whoever receives your book, they get the blessings that they need to receive.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'm going to drop you down and have Shameka come up, and then we're going to then have a whole round table after that.
Okay.
Miss Shameka, Mika, I'm about to bring you to the stage.
Hey, sis. All right. So this book definitely came out of pain. It's something that I've always been accustomed to doing, is writing down what I felt. I've always been one to express myself through words, just never having the courage to go out and actually publish it for the world. So I finally got the courage, 2 years ago, to make this thing come alive. And what made it so prevalent and important to do it at that time was the fact that in our society, it's just not talked about enough, not important enough, not prevalent enough to speak out about mental health. And I went through a time where I was just, ready to be done, with life. And I just found myself just running from the issues that I was facing, from the circumstances in my life. And I went, I moved all the way out of town because I just could not live in the world in which I was living at the time. So writing this book really came out of pain. And doing, after writing, I did a little bit of studying, went out trying to see how, I can get this book out and express my feelings and how what I was going through, the circumstances that brought me to this situation, how me speaking out about them could help someone else. So I learned that in our minds, if we are consistent with whatever, if it's to help us, lose weight, to help us eat better, whatever it is, if we're consistent enough for 21 days, then we can overcome whatever obstacle we're facing. So I felt, okay, let me write this book, which is titled Rebuild, and I'm going to make it a 21-day self-journal. And this is just to love on yourself, to bring out whatever issues that you have within yourself, to make you feel like, okay, I am not in the right frame of mind. I have been suicidal. I'm trying to figure this thing out. And by doing so, I want to better myself in my circumstances. And all of this, I hear all the ladies talking about purpose. Yes, we all have a purpose. And I felt from me writing this book, I have found my purpose. And that is, always to be encouraging. So in this book, I talk about issues that brought me to feeling like I was losing my mind or I wanted to commit suicide. And one of them, which was really big for me, that I've always felt, I've struggled with for a very long time, which is abandonment. So I use these in days, like I said, because it's a 21-day journal. Day number 6, I talk about abandonment, how having abandonment issues often always stem from one's childhood, which it did for me. It can almost be like playing hide and seek with someone that never comes to find you. And have you ever dealt with abandonment issues? If so, where did they develop for you? And of course, I am a Christian, so I have to put the word in there. And one of the scriptures that stood out to me about this is, when my father and mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. And then though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. So all alone, I felt abandoned by those around me, but God has always been there. He's always been a constant in my life. He's never left me, but for a short period of time, I left him. And then so I also included activities that we can do to kind of calm you down when you're feeling these emotions, when you're feeling or going through these circumstances and situations. So for the activity for abandonment, I say, abandonment issues that transpire during your childhood usually and sometimes go away. However, if they're not dealt with, it can cause abandonment to show up in your adult life. It shows up as trust issues, the feelings of rejection, being unloved, toxicity, and there's almost always some form of a wall built up against those who end up paying for someone else abandoning you. Has anyone abandoned you as a child? As an adult, how do you or did you feel? How has it affected you in the past and present relationship? So I ask that you make this um, a writing activity for this day. So you write down what you're feeling, how you have gone through those issues, how you plan to work through those issues. And then I also discovered that different colors brings about certain awareness, helps us feel a different way. And, even different foods at a different color can bring about a certain change in your body. So for the day of abandonment, I read in that it is best that we wear or eat something that's the color red. It brings about a sense of calmness and alleviates feelings of resentment and abandonment. What is your favorite red flower? When you think of red, when you see a red bird, when you see red fruit, when you eat red fruit, what does that make you feel? How does it make you think about life that day? Red is a beautiful color. So, in these things, I also have pages in here that after reading these things, after doing the activities, after wearing, a red lipstick for the day, how did that make you feel? And just reading those, scriptures and allowing the people to know that God is always ever. I'm sorry, my phone's ringing. And how, being close to God in the Word, and also, yes, getting therapy for anything that you're going through, any struggles you're having. It's always close. It's always an idea to get a therapist to be close to. I have been in therapy for the last 2 years, and I don't see myself, getting out of therapy until I am fully 100% aware of myself and where I'm going. So this book is titled Rebuild for a reason, because it breaks you down to build you back up. And that's how, mental illness, it does. It breaks you down. It breaks down the relationships in your life. It breaks down your self-esteem. But in this book, you will find the courage to go ahead and rebuild yourself, rebuild your life, rebuild the relationships around you, and just have an amazing, amazing life. Because we go through mental health issues does not mean that we have to stay there. We can rebuild ourselves.
Let me unmute myself. But I love it. It's so awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna have to add that during
Yes, add it.
yes, definitely. I might definitely have to add that. I'm gonna have to add all y'all books to my bookshelf so I can get the going through them. So I'm gonna bring everybody back on stage. So my question, a lot of times when we're going through this journey, we learn a lot. I would say name 2 things that you think you learned becoming an author through this journey. What was the hardest thing you learned through your process? And I'll start with Liz.
Well, I think part of it for me has been to figure out, because most of my projects have been anthologies and each one's had a different theme, sort of. And I say sort of because all of them seem to come together. So for me, one thing I struggle with is getting started. How do I get started writing what it is I'm supposed to write about? I loved, by the way, all the other books, the things you read. So I'm going to be looking you guys up on on Amazon for sure. But I think that's, for me, the first thing is figuring out what to write. Because I will tell you, when I started this, I'm not a writer. I am not a writer. But every time I tell a friend of mine that who is a writer, she goes, "But you are." She said, "You have a knack for it." And I'm like, I don't see myself in that light. And I still don't see myself that way. But I'm getting there. So, and what was your other question? I'm sorry.
The other question I asked is, what did you find? You answered what was difficult, and you was like starting, and I was like, during the process, what were 2 things you learned, like just going through the process of being an author? Because you have marketing. It's like just different things that you learned. So, what do you feel that you learned in those several books that you visionaried?
I think what I've learned most is definitely how to market each book, because each one, I mean, when you're sitting there and you're telling people, I've got 10 books to sell, and people are like, well, which one should I get? So the thing I've learned is targeting the audience. Not all your books that you write are for everybody, but there are certain groups of people, friends, who maybe that they've gone through some of the things that some of your author friends have gone through, and you feel like that's the book for them. That's the group you market to. And then getting out and being bold and letting people know you have these books for them to buy and read, doing book signings, at various venues. We've done several here. I'm in Mississippi, on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. So we've done several events here. And I've done a few over in Alabama, because it's 30 minutes from me. So I run over there occasionally. But I think that's the other thing is just figuring out who's your target audience, and how do you best market your book. You don't go out there, spamming people. You don't want to send, get in their inbox. Hey girl, I just wrote this book. Right. You really got to get it. I've been a part of this book. You should really go get a copy. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work. It does not work. So the best thing to do is find those people that could benefit from reading it, suggest it to them, give them an idea of what it's about, and 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have somebody order a copy for you, or from you rather.
That is some awesome jewels. I hope y'all catching it. I hope y'all getting it. Because I'm telling you, everybody don't give up them jewels like that. So you better take them while they're here. Next, I'm gonna have Miss Shameka. Tell me, what did you learn through this process? Yeah, my voice is echoing. What did you learn through this process, and what do you think your biggest struggle was?
What I've learned is to just let it go, let it flow. Whatever flows out of you, let it go. And what's been the hardest thing is actually speaking up about it, again, because it's just so, it's just something that we just don't speak out about enough. And so for me to feel like, okay, I'm just going to run with this thing and talk about mental health, put this in a book, and not only just put it in a book, but actually speak of the book and why I wrote the book. I think that's been the hardest thing to do. But the more I do it, it becomes easier. So, just let it flow. What flows out of your heart, what flows, onto the paper. I have found that to be the most exciting thing, the most freeing thing. So I think, once you do that and you get out there and you just express what's been, put on your heart to give to the people, I think it just, it grows you as a person first, but then you're able to touch everybody else as well.
So true. Now, question before I let you go. Do you have like stage fright?
I did at first, because it's just not something that I'm used to doing, which I can't even say that because I'm in human resources and I'm up in front of people, but I know that, that's something that I've been trained to do for years, but to actually get out and speak about, this topic, yes, I have definitely felt, you know, a little stage fright at first, but it's getting better.
I love it. I
I
love
love
it.
it.
It's
I love
right.
it.
This is
Right.
why we
This is
do
why
it.
we
Be
do it.
comfortable.
Comfortable.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna go
I'm
to
gonna
Miss
go to Miss
Lenore.
Lenore.
What did you learn? What? Oh, do I need to repeat the question? Sorry.
I think you asked what did I learn and what was the most challenging part of the process.
Yes.
Well, I'll start with what I've learned. I learned that whatever happens, you just need to move forward with your book because it's much larger than just you. Um, and I say that because during the course of writing the book and preparing to publish, I had a total of 4 strokes,
Mm.
and the strokes attacked the part of my brain that provides for speech and provides for, for your cognitive um, memory loss and just being able to communicate. And I'm a communicator
Right.
by trade. I'm an educator, and I am a poet, and so my speech is dear to me. And I was a little thrown from that. I had to put myself into speech therapy, and the speech therapist actually encouraged me to write as a way to get myself back in shape. Um, but I did find myself in the midst of a period of depression because things were moving really slowly. And only when I started to just put one foot in front of the other and get back on track did I find my speech and my memory, really just came back. So I think those were the jewels that I take away from the experience is, you have to look beyond yourself and know that there's a greater purpose for your book and that there's somebody out there that needs what you have to offer. And I'm really glad that I did not let my health issues stand in the way of delivering what I believe is something that is going to provide encouragement for others.
That's so awesome. I'm so happy you didn't let it deter you because them poetry's just off the hook.
Yes.
And they're gonna help somebody and bless somebody. And like you said, the vision is bigger than us. All of our books have somebody else attached to it.
Right.
So I'm so happy that you didn't give up. And
Thank you so much.
do what you
Thank
do.
you.
Because you're amazing. And y'all
Thank
all amazing. So we're gonna go to Miss Latricia. Same question.
Okay, I would say challenging for me was even starting the first book and everything else I wrote is being vulnerable, just putting myself out there and realizing that no matter what, put my heart into it and knowing that you can be criticized by those that don't understand and don't know, but being okay with that. So that was the one thing that was very challenging, and it's just opening up myself and allowing people in to understand what was going on with me. The thing I learned was I'm an introvert by nature. So although I'm confident as a person, sort of like what Shameka said, I know my job, I know the things that I know, and I'm very confident standing in that. But when I started writing and then being able to share the part of me that I normally don't share to the public was being confident and bold and standing in that. And I'm still learning that. I have not learned. I'm still learning that to do these type of interviews, still be open for that. And being able to market my books in a way so that I can reach my target audience. You can know them, but are you open to be able to market to them the way you need to? And so I'm still learning that, to be confident and bold and proud of my product and be able to yell it to the world and market it so that I can get the people that my book is for to come in and read it and purchase the book.
And that is so awesome. I'm so happy that you're working on it because it's so needed. All of y'all books are so needed. It's crazy how life happens and it just ends up making you write a new chapter for something else that somebody else needs to hear. So if y'all all had to say in the next 3 years, what are your goals for your books? And I'll start with Liz.
Well, my goals is to continue what I'm doing. I do have another one coming out this spring. It's kind of evolving from the There's Hope book that I did. However, it won't be necessarily asking the ladies from Teen Challenge to write, although several have stepped up and said they want to be a part of it. We will be doing a book called Out of the Ashes We Will Rise. So that one's coming up. But in the next 3 years, I see many more books on my horizon. What the topics will be, I don't know. But I also see getting more involved in utilizing the sales of these books as fundraising projects to help in ministries across in my area and in other areas of the country.
I love that. I definitely love that because so many times when we sell the books and it's related to certain things, to be able to give back is a very awesome thing. I love it. I'm gonna be looking out for the Rise of the Ashes. We're gonna ask Miss Lenore, what is your plans for the next 3 years or goals?
Well, right now I'm working on my 5th book of poetry called, it's a working title. So
Yes.
it's the stories that we tell. And it really is all about how life is just a series of stories in our lives. And even though your story might start out in a negative way, it's not over yet, because God is the author and finisher of our faith, and he's going to finish the job, and so we have to have faith and hope, and so that's what I'm working on now. But I have a poetry reading coming up in April, which is National Poetry Month, and I'm also starting to incorporate my poetry into workshops, particularly for young girls, and so I have a book called Roar: Empowering Words for Life, and I have a workshop that I'm going to be doing called Are You Ready to Roar? And it's all about using poetry for the young women to find their voice.
I like that.
So I hope to do more workshops and more readings.
I like that. Are you doing this online or is it just going to be in person with the kids? Because I got 2 little girls.
It's in person in New Jersey, but I hope to bring some out virtually as well.
I think it'll definitely help kids that are like in situations and use their voice to be able to speak out about the things they're dealing with as well. Because, thinking back to when I was young, sometimes I wish certain things were available to be able to talk about and stuff like that. So you're doing an excellent job as well.
Thank you.
Next up, you're very, very welcome. Next up, Shameka.
In the next 3 to 5 years, one of my goals is to just further the discussion on the book Rebuild. This book that I wrote about Rebuild is more on the discovery of how we get to battling mental illness and all that. But my next book, I want it to be about how we have overcome, because I think that's another area where people feel like there's no hope there, you cannot overcome mental illness, so I want to speak to that part as well. I want to talk about how to overcome mental illness issues with it and how to just continue on with life in that way. And also speak more about mental illness in our community, be by virtual or in person. I'm taking classes to learn how to speak out and not have stage fright. So I am gearing to do that and speak to the community about mental illness and not be ashamed, if that's something you struggle with. And just letting people know that, yes, it's okay for us to ask people to speak out about it, but when these people speak out about it, how are you going to answer to them speaking out? So that's the next thing that I'm working on as well. So it's just a lot going on, but I'm ready
I
for
love
it,
it.
and I look forward to growing that brand.
I'm looking forward to it too, because I'm gonna be right on there. Like, yes, girl, you doing it. Be your number one cheerleader. Everybody.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, Miss Latricia, can you please tell us what is your goals for the next 3 years?
For the next 3 years or so, my goal overall is to continue writing. I have a couple things that's in the works that will come out, another anthology that I'm going to be partnering with some other ladies, and then a personal thing on myself. But overall, for A Mother's Love and A Mother's Pain and the From Pain to Purpose journal, I would like to collaborate with a mental health therapist and for these tools to be shared with mothers that are going through and something that they can use to help encourage them. And because the workbook, the journal is for them to document. There's little things that I know that help me for prompts that they can help and maybe help out in their grieving process. And for my workbook that I have is self-love. Actually, it's the Simple Self-Love, Self-Care Workbook for girls ages 7 to 14. I want to be able to use that to collaborate with girls organizations and groups and get that. And it's about teaching, helping parents work with them to teach them about responsibility, but how to love themselves. So when they get out there in the world, that no guy or anyone can, their self-esteem could be put down because they think that this guy is the one and why. But if you love yourself, that other stuff will come about and they can be proud of themselves, be confident in themselves. The world cannot change them. All the way from being proud of your hair, being proud of the color of your skin, no matter what it is, and just being proud of who you are and who God made you to be. So those are some of the things that I want to do for over the next 3 to 5 years.
I definitely commend y'all all for the work that y'all are doing, that y'all are putting out there for people. And, like you said, the information is there. Don't miss it because you're afraid to, dig deep to what's truly going on. Because so many times we know we need the help, but we don't because we're afraid of what's going to come out of it.
Right.
So, yeah, it's there for y'all. Don't run from it because you run from it, it's still going to be there. So, can I have everybody be able to tell people how to find you, how to connect with you, and leave one positive thing for them to just take with them after this show? We'll start with Miss Latricia.
For me, you can find me on Facebook at author Latricia N. Taylor, on Instagram at Latricia N. Taylor, and in that you'll find in the link in my bio, the link to my website, which all my books and everything is there. Of course, I'm on Amazon as well. I will say that one thing I would want to leave is just be honest with yourself and who you are. Be proud of where you came from, who you are, and who you are in that moment. Understand who you are. Dig deep and figure out where you're trying to go. Understand that your path is your path, your journey is your journey. Can't anyone walk it for you? And just walk. My favorite thing, just walk by faith.
Yes, Miss Liz.
Well, you can find me on Facebook. I am Liz Hoop on Facebook. On Instagram, I am LT Hoop. On LinkedIn, I am L Hoop. You can find the books that I have on Amazon under my name, Liz Hoop. You can just search it on Amazon and find them there. One thing I would like to say, the thing that keeps going over and over in my mind, listening to everyone, number one is I actually serve on a board of directors here in Mississippi for mental health. So I'm involved in the mental health aspect from that perspective. And also the other thing I'd like to say is, because I've heard this so many times, I've heard this since my writing journey began, and that is, it's your story that you're telling, but it's your story for somebody else to hear because they're going through that same walk that you've been through, and they need to know that there's hope on the other side of that. So you're encouraging someone, even though you don't know it, by sharing your story. You're showing how you've overcome your problem that someone else relates to. So keep sharing your stories.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. I love it. Miss Lenore.
I can be found on Facebook under Leni Uddyback-Fortson, and I'm on Instagram under Uddyback-Fortson, and I'm also on Amazon. All 4 of my books are available on Amazon. You can just search my name and my page comes up. And I'd say that people need to be aware that words have power, and so words can either lift people up or tear people down. So be careful with your words about other people and about yourself, because the power of life and death is in your tongue.
I love it. And Miss Shameka.
So right now, everyone can find me on Facebook at Shameka Morton. I am revamping and building my website for Rebuild. That will be done here within the next week or two. So I'll have the link in my bio on Facebook. But one thing that I would like to leave with people is you're not alone. So many times we feel like when we struggle, we're the only one struggling, but that is so not the truth. So I would just take this time to let someone know that there is someone else going through what you're going through, been through what you've been through, and willing to help if you just speak out about it. So just to let you guys know that you're never alone. You're not alone in this journey.
Amen. Amen. I thank you all for gracing this awesome stage to allow people to hear the stories in the journals of how awesome y'all became authors and how y'all still are, here to impact them and to empower them to be great and be a better version of themselves. As always, y'all know I am your host, Sheena Godine. I thank everybody for tuning in to Let Loose and Be Free book tour. Reach out to them. They're there for you. The books are on Amazon. If you forgot what it is, go find their name, go to their inbox. They'll be more than willing to tell you where to find them, how to connect with them, and what to do. Thank y'all. And I will be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. with another book tour with some more awesome ladies. And I'm hoping to connect with all of these awesome ladies and just put them all on a tour one day through my Zoom. But y'all have a great one. I thank you. And I thank all y'all ladies for being on Let Loose and Be Free.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Introducing to some and reintroducing to others. Speaker, entrepreneur, motivational coach, and author, Sheena Godine. If you wish to contact her, you can contact her via email at sgodine16@gmail.com or